Hey everyone, welcome to this daily Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for April 5th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link because the signs are different. All right, so we're approaching a new moon on Thursday, which means we're in the balsamic phase of the lunar cycle. It's a good time to go within. It's a good time to reflect on our life, to really get to know ourselves on that deep spiritual level. And that's really what Pisces is all about. So you can see there's a lot of energies in Pisces right now at the moment. And this new moon is going to be showing us the importance of having and finding inner peace through accepting life, through accepting the present moment and how things are. So leading up to that, I think it's good to reflect on particularly this past month or even larger, your entire life, however you choose to do that, because it's been a very transformational time. We're finishing up an eclipse cycle. You know, the last lunar cycle was an eclipse cycle. So now it's a good time to go into this, reflect on things, see where we can have some of that presence, some of that peace, which comes through acceptance. One thing I want to say too is, Pisces is like the ocean, and we can either jump into the ocean and start kicking and swimming and trying to fight the current, or we can let it allow us to float to the top and allow it to take us wherever it's meant to take us and wherever it's going to take us anyways, right? And that's really what Pisces shows us, is that importance of sometimes letting go, sometimes allowing the current of life to take us where it's meant to, where it will anyways, and the tremendous peace and tranquility that we can have in that process. But of course, it does require diving deep. Pisces is about the deep psyche, the deep spiritual self, where we might be holding on, where we might need to let go, where we may not have faith, we may not have trust, but these are certainly some good things to develop, certainly good things to work on over these next couple days as we approach that new moon. And again, I feel like particularly reflecting on these major changes that have been happening this past month and longer. So with that, Mercury is slowly shifting into Aries, so there is a bit of fieriness starting to come into the picture, and this is particularly with our thinking and our speaking. We probably find that we're probably thinking or speaking quite directly at the moment, maybe quite willfully or assertively, and perhaps even independent-minded. Aries is all about that independent spirit, and here with the thoughts and communications going in here, perhaps just thinking about things a bit more in that sort of way, right? And then there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of interest, there could be a lot of wanting to get into the reading, the writing, the sharing, the communicating. That can be energizing, right? But all in all, I think utilizing this new type of communicating and new type of thinking, which is a Mercury that's been in watery Pisces, right? So it has been very deep thinking or very spiritual or going with the flow, especially with the daily experiences. But now there's a part of the daily experiences which can be much more direct, much more active, and perhaps when it does come to those routines, maybe getting some of that fiery energy moving. So it's a kind of a mixed energy. So you can see they're very different. But on this level, it's on a larger level, a good time to do that spiritual work. But it's also good, I think, to let that fiery energy through the mind and communications. Now, we do have an important aspect here today. The sun is going to be trining up to Saturn. That's going to go exact about midday for most of us. And so here there's this grounded self-expression. This has been, of course, the type of expression right now that perhaps we're enjoying working behind the scenes, maybe getting that rest and relaxation, expressing our intuitive side, our deep spiritual side. But with Saturn and Ophiuchus, this is particularly about reflecting on what matters most to us in life, and maybe reflecting, and expressing that, right? Expressing those things that are truly meaningful and what really matter most to us. And again, we're learning about it. Saturn's retrograde in Ophiuchus, and we're also reflecting on what we're actually building in our lives at the moment. But this trine does suggest perhaps some good stability with the self-expression, maybe some good productive, responsible energy, especially through this wanting to see the truth, convey the truth, and express what really matters and create what really matters. The sun is that creation principle. So I feel like this is going to be the dominant energy in the aspect chart. We do have the sun beginning to square up to Pluto going into tomorrow. So this can be some especially tomorrow and onward, this deep change that's going to be occurring, I think, with that self-expression, with that identity in many ways. And always the key with Pluto is to be willing to dive deep. So I think that's going to be mostly in the evening time, being willing to dive deep within self, to restructure our identity, restructure the way we express ourselves, really restructure our spirit. Sun is that flame, that spirit of life, right? So willing to go deep and willing to change, I think, is going to be key over the later part of the day. But the strongest will definitely be the Sun trining up to Saturn. We do have some important aspects with the Moon, quite a few. In fact, the Moon will be opposing up to Jupiter. So in the very early, there could be a bit of buoyancy on one hand, but yet again, that square from Saturn and Jupiter suggesting that there's this importance of being patient with this buoyancy, patient with this inspiration and what's possible in life. The Moon does sextile up to Pluto, so it could be a deep, in an easier sense, deep way in the early part of the day. And then along with that later, deeper stuff, in this sense with that square up to Pluto, in terms of restructuring our view, our expression, the Moon does go over the South Node in Chiron. Okay, so I think it is a good evening for any type of healing, any type of reflecting on the past, where we can change, where we can see things in a new direction, and really release things that are just simply no longer serving us, but we become aware of them, we accept them, we don't push them away. Allowing them to go, in other words, versus pushing them away. Because whatever we push away continues to persist. And so there's something perhaps in the evening time trying to make its way to us for our observation, for our acceptance, which can then heal us and also help us transform and come into this very, again, watery energy of these new beginnings that we're going to be experiencing now going into next week, about how we can accept things in our life. We can accept the present moment, live in the present, and all of that being very peaceful. And that's a real essence of joy, Pisces, is true happiness, which isn't the fleeting type of happiness, but the happiness of being, of connecting to the now, that spiritual type of happiness. All right, so I hope you guys have an awesome day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.